Right, in this video we'll be focusing on the most commonly tested Excel functions in your paper 3. Okay, now this video would be most suitable for people who really suck and who have not really done a lot of past year papers until now. Okay, so please go through this video quickly and then please attempt as many past year papers as you can before the exam. Alright, so I'm gonna be sharing these two files with you guys later. Okay, so let's look at the first page. Alright, we'll be talking about the very basics, minimum, maximum, average, auto sum, as well as mode. Okay, now sometimes the question will say, okay, find the smallest number out of a series of numbers. Okay, so in that case, if that happens, what you can do is to put equals to min, that means the smallest number, open bracket, highlight whatever collection the question asks you to find the smallest number from, and close the bracket and press enter. Okay, then after that it says find the largest number, the function is max, so equals to max. Okay, do the same thing, press enter, and then it says find the most frequently appearing number. Okay, these kind of questions have appeared before. Now the function to find the most frequently appearing number is called mode, M-O-D-E. So equals to M-O-D-E, open, again do the same thing, press enter, you get this. Find the average of all these numbers. Okay, now the average and some of the other functions can be found here as well, count, max, min, and all that. Okay, now if the question says that you should list it below the collection of cells, that's fine. You just need to highlight the cells, click on auto sum. Say for example it needs the average, so you select the average. Okay, so take note that you can also move this to another location. Just click on it. Okay, you can cut it and paste it. Okay, if for example it wants the total of all these numbers, which means the grand total, just highlight this and click auto sum immediately. You'll get this. Okay, alright, moving on to left and right. Okay, now this question has came out in one of the papers before. In it, it actually combines the left and right as well with a VLOOKUP to use the first letter of a code or an item code to search for the item price or something like that. Okay, now if the question says extract the first letter of the following text, what you need to do is put equals to left, open your bracket, select the text, then notice that there's a comma here, right? So comma, number of characters, num underscore chars, it means number of characters. So how many numbers of characters from the left do I need? If I say I only need the first letter, I'll put in a 1 and I close the bracket, press enter, I will get C. Okay, if for example it says the first 3 characters, so I will just change it to 3 and it will extract the first 3 characters. Okay, now the same thing can be done with from the right. Okay, it says extract the right letter of the following text. Now this question has not came out before, but just in case, okay, equals to right. Say for example I want the 2 letters from the right, so I will just select the text first, followed by a comma, and then I put in number of characters, close the bracket, it will give me EX. Right, moving on to INT and round. Okay, now the INT function is used to remove decimal places completely. Okay, meaning if it's 10.23, what it's going to do is it's going to remove the 0.23. So what's going to happen is you have to put equals to INT, open the bracket, it asks for a number, select the number, close your bracket, and you will notice that it becomes okay. Now round is a little bit different. Okay, round is to round it to the nearest dollar. Okay, so say for example if I say equals to round and I select the number here and the number of digits I put say 1. Okay, what's going to happen is that still will be decimal places, but it's going to round it to the nearest 1 decimal. Okay, so let's put in another number to have a look at this. Say for example 25. Okay, so what's going to happen if you apply this for this function to it is it's going to round 10.25 to 10.3. Okay, so that is rounding to the nearest whole dollar, say for example, or the nearest 1 decimal place. Okay, you shouldn't confuse this with integer or the int function. The int function removes decimal places completely. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Count, count A, and count if. Okay, now in IGCSE ICT paper 3, there are questions that will ask you to count certain things. Okay, now there are 4 scenarios here. How many numbers can be found below? Okay, so right now what it's going to do is it's only going to count cells that contain numbers. All right, now it's very obvious that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells that contain numbers. So what I'm going to do equals to count, open my bracket. Before that, notice that it says counts the number of cells in the range that contains numbers, right? Okay, so open my bracket. I'm just going to highlight all the cells here, close my highlighting, close my bracket, press enter, and it says 5. Okay, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say for example, I convert this to a number, so it's going to change to 6. Okay, now how many cells below are not empty? Now this needs another function. What this function does is count the number of cells that are not empty. It doesn't care whether it's a number, it's a text, special symbol, or whatever. Okay, so this function is very similar to count, but it's called count A. So equals to count A, open my bracket. I'm just going to highlight everything here, close my bracket, and press enter. So 7 cells are not empty. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So let's say I remove KKB. Okay, press enter, it becomes 6. Okay, now there's another function that counts how many times something appears. Okay, so if you look at the question, it says how many times did Chong Han appear in the cells below. Okay, it's also a type of count, but it's called count if. Okay, count if means I'm only going to count the cell if a certain condition is met. So equals to count if. Again, it asks you to select the range. So from here, I'm going to put in a comma, and then it says how many times did Chong Han appear, right? Now here's the thing, Chong Han is text. So text, before you can put it in, you need to have double quotation marks. Okay, so I'm going to press enter, and Chong Han appears 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so if these are numbers, and they say for example, how many times does 10 appear? Okay, what you need to do is change the function and put 10 here without the double quotation marks. Remember, double quotation marks are only for text. Okay, now moving on, how many successful throws did Alex make? Okay, so this one is to count how many times the word success appears. Okay, this is basically the same thing. So equals to count if, the range is this, and what am I counting? Success. Okay, the casing does, the uppercase and lowercase does not matter. What it's going to do is it's going to count how many times success appears here. Right, moving on to sum if and average if. Okay, now sum if is a little bit, is almost the same as count if. Count if is to count the number of cells if a certain condition is met. Now sum if is used to add the values in a collection of cells if a certain condition is met. Okay, now if you look at the question here, what's going to happen is it's going to count, it's going to sum how many burgers each of these people have eaten. Okay, so for example, if it wants to count how many times Alex has eaten, how many burgers have Alex eaten, right? What's going to happen is it's going to come here, and it's going to take 1 plus 3 plus 1 and put the total here because it's a sum. Okay, so equals to sum if, open bracket. Now it will ask you to select the range first. Okay, so the range is the collection of cells that you need to select to compare with the criteria here. Alright, so I'm going to select the range of cells here. Okay, and then I'm going to put in a comma, and then I'm going to select the criteria. So what is the criteria before you can add the things together? So the criteria is this, right? Comma, then it asks sum range. If it matches, where do you get the numbers to add everything together? So this part. Right, close my bracket, I'm going to press enter. Now this is, there's still one mistake here, but we're just going to do this anyway. So press enter, and I'm going to apply this to all the cells. Okay, now here's the issue. If you look at the first selection here, everything looks fine, right? So the range is the person here, Okay, then the criteria is the person's name here. Then the sum range is the burgers eaten here. Okay, now, but if I double click on, say, the second row, you will notice that the selection here is a bit inaccurate. Okay, what happens is, this is called relative cell referencing or relative cell referencing. Okay, it actually moves with your function. Okay, but here, what's supposed to happen is the blue, the range, as well as the purple, the sum range, should stay selected. Okay, they shouldn't move up and down according to the function or the positioning of the function. So what's going to happen is, this is called absolute cell referencing, which means that you need to lock the cells. Okay, so what you need to do is, as I've explained just now, you need to lock the blue cells as well as the purple cells. So you need to highlight this, all right, and press F4. All right, so followed by the purple one, right? So F4. So once you apply that, you will notice that when I go down like that, okay, and I select the second one, these two stay in place. Okay, followed by this, doesn't move, followed by the last one, it doesn't move too. Okay, so that is called your absolute and relative cell referencing, relative cell referencing. Okay, more followed by average if. Okay, now average if is the same as sum if. Now sum if is, I'm only going to add the values in a cell if a certain condition is met. Okay, average if is, I'm going to average the values in a certain number of cells if the criteria or the condition is met. Okay, so equals to average if. Same thing, the range is what you need to select to compare. So now that you guys know this, I'm just going to immediately lock it, followed by a comma. The criteria is this one, followed by a comma. What do you need to average if the criteria as well as the range match? The stuff here, right? So lock this as well, close my bracket, oops, there you go. Okay, now moving on to if and nested if. Okay. Now, in IGCSE ICT, all right, there will always be if and or nested if functions. Okay, if you're unlucky, you'll get nested ones. Okay. Now, if is very simple. Okay, so if a certain condition is met, I will do something, or I will do a calculation, or I'll output something. Okay, so I have three scenarios here. The first one is the very basic and the simplest as well. Okay, now, so the question says that if it's lesser than 30, it is light. If it's greater than 30, it is heavy. So, equals to if what, right? If the weight here is lesser than 30, then I'm going to output light. Okay, in double quotation, because it is text, followed by a comma, and it says if it's greater than 30, it's heavy, right? So, if it's lesser than 30, it's light. But if it is not, meaning it definitely will be greater than 30, right? So, value if false, which means that if it is not lesser than 30, it will be heavy. Okay, simple as that. Okay, now moving on, this is the nested if, and this would, well, this comes up quite frequently in the exam as well. So, equals to, before that, right, right now there are actually three conditions, and if you look at your if, okay, there's only one logical test and two possible outcomes. There's a value if true, there's a value if false. But if you look here, there's actually three possible outcomes: light, heavy, and sibei heavy. Okay, so you can't achieve this using one if. Alright, so instead you need something called a nested if. Okay, so let me demonstrate that. Now for me, I will work from the largest number to the smallest number, which means that I will start from the bottom and then I will go all the way up. Okay, for you guys, if you prefer to start from the top and move on to the bottom, that's fine, as long as your output and your logic is correct. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it says if the weight is 50 and above, right? So if the weight is greater than or equals to 50, because it says 50 and above, that means it includes 50, comma, I'll put in sibei heavy. Oops. Alright, now that's value if true, comma. Then it will ask for value if false. Now here's the thing, if it's 50 and above, it's CBET heavy. But if it is not, it can be either greater than 30 and then lesser than 50, or it can be even lesser than 30. Okay, so which means that if it is not CBET heavy, it can be either light or heavy. So in the value if false, when it's not CBET heavy, what you need to do is put in another if. Okay, because as you know, if has two outcomes, right? So in order for you to put in the remaining two outcomes, you need another if. So if, again, open bracket, the logical test here is the weight is, it says here, greater than 30 but lesser than 50, right? Okay, so greater than or equals to 30 is heavy, comma, then it asks you for false. Now here's the thing, if it is greater than or equals to 50, it's CBET heavy. If it is not, it can be either heavy or, what is the last one? Lesser than 30, which is light. Now you don't need to put in another if here because the nested if caters for the remaining heavy and light. Okay, you only need another nested if there's a fourth condition. Okay, so right now the last one would be light. Right, there you go. Okay, moving on. So in some circumstances, it will ask you to perform calculations. Okay, some will ask you to output, say for example, text, but some will ask you to perform calculations. Now, in this scenario, it says multiply the following with the correct count. Say for example, if the number of items bought is 1 to 10, it will be multiplied with 2%. If it's between 11 to 20, 5%, 21 and above, 10%. Now what I'm going to do, same thing, I'm going to take the biggest number and work myself up. Okay, so equals to if what? The number of items bought, right? So the item quantity is greater than or equals to 21. What's going to happen? Okay, I'm going to put a bracket here so it's easier to see. Okay, so discount 10%. So the price has to be multiplied by 10%. Okay, now here's the thing. If I pull this down, the price and the item quantity has to move. Alright, but does the 10% need to move? No, it doesn't. So I need to lock this. Okay, comma. Now, if it is not 21 and above, it could be either 11 to 20 or 1 to 10, right? Okay, so if, again, the item quantity is this time larger equals to 11, okay, what's going to happen? The price will be multiplied by the 5% discount. Okay, so I'm going to lock this one as well. If it is not, greater than or equals to 21, and it is not between 11 and 20, what's going to happen? 2%, right? So immediately I don't need to put in another condition. Okay, so open my bracket, the price will be multiplied by the discount here. So I'm going to lock it as well, and I'm going to close my bracket. Oops, sorry, this one should be discount, my bad. Okay, simple. Moving on, VLOOKUP. Okay, VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup. Now, vertical lookup is for you to use a code, you know, or yeah, it is usually a code to find a corresponding value. Okay, now usually it will ask you to use a code to find the description of a product, or use the code to find a person's name, and use the code to find a corresponding currency, use the code to I don't know, something like that. Okay, so there are actually two scenarios. The first one would be using VLOOKUP on the same page where you can find the description. Another one would be opening another external file and getting the data from there. Okay, so the first scenario here would be working on getting values on the same page. Okay, now here basically what it wants you to do, right, is if it's SP, it's going to take Sylvester Poir. If it's AL, it's going to take Alex Lim. If it's NP, it's going to take Natalie Paulili. If it's LA, it's going to take Leanne. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here's how we do it. Equals to VLOOKUP, open a bracket. Now this time it has 4 things that you need to fill in. Lookup value. Okay, lookup value means what is the value that you want to find out more about. Okay, of course I want to know what SP means, right? So I just need to click on SP, comma. Okay, so table array means from which table or which selection of cells are you getting the data or the description from. Okay, so I'm getting it from here. So I'm just going to highlight this. Okay, notice that if it's on the same page and I pull this down, right? Okay, what's going to happen? The blue one will move, the red one will move as well. So in order for me to prevent the red one from not moving, okay, I need to lock it, comma. Now it asks for the column index number. Okay, this means that, oh, from which column of the table you selected just now do you want to extract the data? Okay, this is the first column, this is the second column. Now I already have the data from the first column, right? AL, SP and all that. I don't need the data here already. Okay, I just need the data here so that it can compare with the data here and match it. Okay, so what I need from this table is the data from the second column. Right? I want Alex Lim, Chong Han, Sylvester, Pua, Kai Xing, Li An, Xie, and Li Bo, ma. I don't want AL, SP, KX, LA, XY, and NP. Ma. So what I'll do is, because it's from the second column, I put in column 2. Put in a comma. Then it asks you, how do you want the matching to be? For example, do you want SP to match exactly to SP, or it can match with NP because it's an approximate? Now, usually 99% of the time we will select exact. So the match has to be exact in order for it to work. So I'm just going to double click on this and I'm going to press enter. Okay, notice that it actually matches with the data here. Okay, now in another circumstance, it will ask you to extract the data from another table or another file. Now when this happens, the first thing you need to do is not to put in any formulas here first, because if you do that, okay, you won't be able to open the file. Okay, let me demonstrate that to you. So I say equals to VLOOKUP, right? Oh, I know that I want to find out what SP means, comma. Oh, I need to select the table. So what's going to happen is you're going to minimize this and then you're going to open this. Okay, notice that it's stuck here. All right, you don't see the reference file being open, and then you see this this spinning loading thing, and then you say, oh, there's some issue with the program and all that. No, it's not. It's because you're in the middle of a function, okay, and it's waiting for you to complete this function. So when this happens, press the escape button. You will notice that the reference file opens up. Okay, so the correct way or the safest way to do this, okay, is number one, open the reference file first, switch back to your original file so that you can work on both at the same time. So VLOOKUP, open. What is the lookup value? SP. Which table are you getting it from? I'm going to switch over to this table and I'm going to highlight this. Now notice that when you highlight this, right, you notice that the cell selection is actually locked, right? Can you see that? The $A, $1 and $A, $1, $B, $7. So you don't need to lock it per se. Comma. Which column are you getting it from? Same thing. I'm getting it from the second column. Comma. So where are you getting it from? What is the match? Exact, right? So I'm going to select exact, press enter, and I will get exactly the same results. Right? Okay, moving on. Okay, now moving on to sort and filter. Okay, now sort and filter has a few different ways of asking the question, okay, in IGCSE ICT. So sometimes they will say interrogate the data, extract the records where a certain condition is and all that. Sometimes they will say extract from the data records where blah 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 blah. Okay, sometimes they will say find the records where say for example the name is Chong Han or the name is Alex and all that. Okay, now there are actually 5 scenarios here. Okay, this is by no means the only 5 questions that will be asked, but it will give you an idea on how to tackle the questions. Okay, now the first thing is, if you see any questions that say interrogate the data or extract from the records and all those that I've mentioned just now, what you need to do first thing is to apply the sort and filter function to the field names first. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight the column headers of the field names. I'm going to click sort and filter and I'm going to select filter. Okay, now see all these buttons appear, right? Okay, oh, you know what, I'm going to add in a few more questions. Sort in. Okay, so let's start with the filtering first, okay? Now find the records where the code is TA. This is very, very simple. Just click on the code here. Okay, remove everything and just select TA. Okay, alternatively, you can go text filters and say equals, and you type in TA. So press enter, you will only have the records where the code is TA. Okay, usually the question will ask you to print this out. Okay, now moving on, find the records where the name starts with an A. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear the filters first. Alright, so I'm going to click here and I'm going to say clear. So I'm going to remove the filter. So find the records where the name starts with an A. So name, text filter, begins with an A. So press enter, this is what you'll get. Okay, so second question done. So clear it again. Now find the records where the names end with an R. So click here, text filter, ends with R. There you go. R. Okay, so clear. Say for example, find the records where the name contains an MA in the middle. Okay, so text filter contains, say MA. Okay, so anything in between that has an MA will appear. Thomas will appear, MA, Matthew, and Matthew, and all that will appear. Right, clear. So let's move on. Find the records where the contract hours are greater than 20. So right now it's number filters now. So contract hours, okay, number filter, greater than 20. Okay, so if it says greater than 20 inclusive, that means that you need to include 20 as well. So what's going to happen is, instead of, let me clear that first, instead of selecting greater than, you need to select greater than or equal to. So 20, say for example. Okay, going to clear this. Moving on, find records where the hours worked are between 10 and 20, right? So hours worked, number filters, between. So it's greater than or equals to 10 and is less than or equals to 20. Okay, now if the question says inclusive, this is what you need to do. If it says between 10 and 20, what you need to put is 11, 19. Alright, so press and OK. This is what you will get. Okay, now let me clear that and then move to sorting records. Okay, it says sort the records in ascending order of name. Ascending meaning small to big. So name, sort A to Z. There you go. Right, moving on, sort the records in ascending order of name, then descending order of hours work. Okay, so if that's the case, okay, what you need to do is you need to go to sort and filter, and then you have to go to custom sort. Okay, oops. Right. Okay, so you need to select a cell that is within what do you call that, within the selection here. You can't select something outside. So it says sort by name, then descending order of hours work, right? So sort by name, A to Z, and then it says descending order of hours work. So at level, which is a level below name, then by descending order of hours work. So hours work, largest to smallest. That's what you get. Okay, the final thing that I need to talk about is printing. Okay, now in Excel, what it needs you to do is to, first thing, it will ask you to put in your header with your name, center number, and candidate number, or inside the footer. Okay, so what needs to be done is you need to go to insert, okay, and you will see header and footer here. So click on it. Say for example your name, center number, candidate number. Okay, and you just print as normal. Okay, so file, print, right? That's what you'll get. Now, there are a few types of printing questions. Okay, so let's say I will switch over here. Now, some questions will say, select the cells from from A1 to E11 and only print them. So only print this selected cell. So A1 to E11. Okay, now if I do this and I want to print it, what's going to happen is when I go to file print, right? Okay, it's going to print the entire sheet. Okay, what you need to do in order for it to only print this selection is to go to page layout, print area, and then you set the print area. So when that happens and you go to file print, okay, you will notice that this is the only area that is being printed. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, the second one is, say for example, you have a very big page. Okay, I'm just gonna move this over here so that it becomes a very huge page. Okay, say for example, print the entire page, but make sure that all data fits within a single page wide. Okay, so what happens is you highlight everything here. Let's say I only want to print this part, print area, set print area, and I go to print. Okay, what happens is it actually stretches across 3 pages. Okay, now say for example the question says print the page in portrait. So what you need to do is landscape. You change the orientation to landscape. Go to print, right? Still it flows to the second page. So if it wants to fit on one page, okay, a single page, you go to scaling here and you select fit sheet on one page. What's it's going to do is it's going to scale everything so that it fits on one page. Alright, now sometimes the question will also say that, oh, print the pages so that the page fits on 2 column wide, which means that it wants the page to fit on 2 pages based on its columns. So go to page setup, okay, and you select fit to 2 pages wide. Okay, press OK. What's going to happen is it will fit on 2 pages. Okay, now the last thing that I need to talk about is printing the formula. Okay, it will say that say select A13 to D23, display the functions, display the formulas, and print them out, for example. Let's say I select A1 to D5. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to select A1 to D5. I'm going to go to print area, I'm going to set the print area, but I need to show formulas, right? So go to formulas, and I'm going to say show formulas. But notice that when you show formulas, you will see that the part of the formula is hidden. So what you need to do is you need to resize the page. So I'm going to click here, select everything, double click on one of the column headers, a line between the column headers, double click on it. Okay, and I'm going to print. Okay. So let's say one fit sheet on one page, so I'm just going to change it, fit sheet on one page. There you go. Alright, the last thing is it wants the column, the row and column headings to be displayed. Okay, so I need to go to page setup, go to sheet, and select row and column headings. Press OK. So you will see that ABC on top and the 1, 2, 3 that represents the rows. Alright, we are done.